Hey, thank you for tuning in to RPMHD.com, where we take you behind the scenes in racing and occasionally grant you access to some drivers and garages that you may not otherwise get to see. Today, we are here at Gray Motorsports, where we're going to get to talk to Tanner Gray and find out a little bit about his racing season. Guys, we're here today with Tanner Gray at Gray Motorsports here in North Carolina. Thank you so much on behalf of RPMHD for giving us a chance to come hang out with you a bit and pick your brain and also take a look around the garage. So I'm going to ask you the first question that I ask all drivers when I conduct these interviews, and I'm sure everybody wants to know, at what age did you decide you wanted to be a race car driver?
Probably around 8. That's when, at the time, you could get in a junior dragster when you were 8. So we lived in Artesia, New Mexico. Our local drag strip was in Roswell, New Mexico.
Nice.
So we went pretty much every weekend to that local drag strip and got to make some laps in my junior dragster and raced that for a couple years, and then got into some other things. And pretty much at that point, I knew that that's what I wanted to do, was race. Going to school, all the other kids wanted to be, firefighters, astronauts, whatever it was. And every time someone would ask me what I wanted to be, I just wanted to be a race car driver. It's pretty funny because growing up, a lot of people look at you and they're like, yeah, all right. And now that I've got to do it, it's been pretty cool.
And you're actually doing it well.
Yeah, some weekends, yeah.
So for those of you that don't know, Tanner's father and grandfather are race drivers as well. And so I'm going to assume that your journey was a little different than the rest of us, who had to wait till we turned 16 and get our permit and then see if somebody let us borrow the car. So I'm assuming yours started a lot earlier if you already knew you wanted to be a race car driver at 8. So what age were you when you first drove a race car?
8. So yeah, that's what I was saying. I went to the local drag strip and just got to make laps in a junior dragster, and just kind of started progressing through the ranks and whatnot. And and then when I turned about 16, I realized that I was probably going to have the opportunity to drive one of these, and so I guess I started working a little bit harder at that point to make sure I'd be ready for the next year, because that was going to be my first year going pro, and that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. So how much influence did your dad and grandfather have on that decision? Were they encouraging, or were they a little apprehensive because they know about how much work goes into it and the sacrifice?
They definitely wanted me to make sure it was what I wanted to do.
Makes sense.
They have always been there to encourage me and whatnot, but when I first told my dad that I wanted to do it, he was a little hesitant on it, and wanted me to make sure that that's what I really wanted to do.
Makes sense.
Because once you get into racing, it's a long and tough road. And I have been blessed with the opportunity to have it right here at my fingertips, with having my dad and my grandpa doing it. So it's been a little bit easier road for me than most, but it was just a really cool experience, and it's been a lot of fun.
So what made you decide on that category, pro stock, out of the others?
My dad was involved in pro stock from 2010 to the time I got in the car, and we had the shop here. And we were building motors, and it's what my dad and grandpa had worked to do, was to make a successful pro stock team. So it's kind of a no-brainer for me. My grandpa was running fuel cars for Don Schumacher. I didn't really have much interest in going into those. I love the aspect of there being a clutch pedal with a 5-speed transmission here. To me, this is just more of a racer's class. The fuel classes are a little bit different in that sense. They're more for show, I guess you could say. To me, this is more of a racing class. This is where a lot of the talent's at. And in my opinion, I think a lot of people will agree, this is probably the toughest class out of the 4 pro categories. So, why not take on the biggest challenge you can?
That makes sense. The first time you raced your dad, describe that experience. Mentally, physically, was there a lot of pressure, you think, because it was your dad? Or
Not a lot of pressure.
Were you more relaxed because this is your dad?
It was a really cool experience for me because I got to watch him race his dad. And I'm not sure if you know, but his dad never beat him.
Oh, wow.
And so, I went up there. I just wanted to make sure that I beat my dad. So, it worked out cool because my dad beat my grandpa every time, and I beat my dad every time we raced. So,
that's a cool tradition.
Yeah,
to keep
so it
going,
just kind of
right?
keeps going down. But it was a lot of fun for me to experience that, and special at the same time.
So last year in Indianapolis, you were able to race with your father and grandfather. Tell us a little bit about that, and also describe how that made you feel.
You don't really think about it then. It's just something you just do. It was a lot of fun. While it was going on, pretty stressful at the time too, just because everybody was kind of strung out so thin. But now that I get to look back on it and to debrief a little bit, I guess you could say, it was really special for all three of us because that was the first time anybody's done it. We had fun while doing it, and I think that was probably the last time you'll see that happen, at least with our family. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that and to say that I got to do that through the career I've had in NHRA.
That's awesome. And so, does that divide your crew up? Because you figure you're using the same guys, same crew, and to have to divide it up amongst the three of you?
So
do you each have your own?
Yeah,
set?
we had our own set. Like, we hired a few people to come up for my dad's car when he raced with us. So we had the people for 2 cars. But then when my grandpa decided to come out, we got to kind of bring some of the guys that worked on his car back when he raced.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we got to bring in a lot of old crew guys, and it was just a lot of fun. You got to kind of reminisce with old friends and see them again. Because this industry's kind of weird. Once you part ways, it's like you don't really see each other much anymore because you're so busy with racing, and they're usually very busy with what they're doing. So you really don't see a whole lot of that person again. So then we got to kind of all get back and reunite. It was kind of like bringing the original band back together. So it was a lot of fun.
Tell us about the scariest moment that you've had while racing.
There's been a lot. Last weekend in Charlotte, second round against Alex. I knew I hit the tree pretty good, and we were leaving, wheels up pretty high all weekend, and it just kind of drove right and set down. And it's one of those things you got to balance. You're racing for a championship, and you hit the tree pretty good, and you don't see him out there on you, so you kind of just keep going until you can't go anymore. I felt like I had it under control. I mean, I guess everybody feels like they have it under control until they don't, but for a fact that I've got out of the car and been like, man, that was close, or whatnot. But nothing that's really been scared me where I go up the next run and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that again or anything like that. I feel like I'm pretty laid back, like you said, and I don't really let a lot get under my skin.
How hard are you on yourself as a driver? Or do you think that you're harder on yourself than people would realize?
I think you could look at the TV broadcast and see how hard I am on myself. A lot of people mistake it for a spoiled kid, or unappreciative of the equipment, or taking it out on the guys. But really, at the end of the day, all it comes down to is me wanting to win, and me feeling like I let them down. We could go up there and have a car that's 200 slower, and if I'm late and could have made up that 200s on the tree, then I feel like it's my fault. So when I first came out, I maybe wasn't afraid to show my true emotions, and everybody else out there is. So everybody was kind of shocked by the way I handled losing, but at the end of the day, I'd say probably 80% of drivers don't really handle losing well.
So do you think that, though it may seem like controversy to some people, that it kind of sheds a little bit of light on the sport, and in some instances, any attention is good attention?
As far as the class went, I think that maybe I got more attention just because people were sitting on the TV saying, what's this kid gonna do next? I think I went about racing a little bit different than what they're used to. NHRA Pro Stock is a lot of older guys. And I felt like I brought a little bit of spark to the class, I guess if you want to call it, just because I wasn't afraid to say certain things. I wasn't afraid to race people the way I thought I should race them. And, you know, if they wanted to talk a little bit, I'd talk back. And, you know, you really haven't found that in a long time in any of the racers that are in there now. So, you know, it's just been kind of a up and down learning curve for me, learning what not to say, what not to do, this and that, and kind of had to rein my actions in a little bit. But, you know, all in all, I mean, I think I still want to win just as bad as I did when I started. I still have the same passion for the sport, still carry the same emotions. I guess I just don't really worry about the opinions of others as much as what the other guys do out there.
Where do you see the future of pro stock going? Let's say in the next 5 to 10 years.
I think it was a huge mistake for them to cut them back to 16 races. I mean, I think that was the dumbest thing an HRA could have done. It makes no sense to me. They took away more money from, you know, the winning, the purse. And, you know, at the end of the day, when they originally took money away, they took money away to give it to, you know, the 17th and 18th qualifiers in the field class to, you know, get more field cars to come out. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think that there's been on a few occasions that, you know, they weren't even able to get 14 cars. So, you know, I guess people in the pro stock class ask, well, where did that money go that we're supposed to be getting, that you're supposed to be giving to these guys that don't even show up? And I don't know, I think NHRA's made a lot of bad decisions for the pro stock. One, the TV coverage sucks. Two, they give it, you know, no marketing as far as NHRA itself goes. You know, the TV coverage has to do with Fox. You know, they just don't do anything to really help it. They need to make something different. I don't know what, but, you know, cutting it back to 16 races definitely isn't the move.
So how much did these recent changes influence your decision to now move from pro stock into NASCAR?
You know, I didn't know about the changes just the other day.
Okay. So they had nothing to do with that. But, well, then what influenced you to change over?
Well, overall, you know, like I was just explaining, NHRA just doesn't give this class any light and any credit that it deserves. So, you know, with me being as young as I am and wanting to race as much as I do, the NASCAR side is just a better fit for me as a racer. I mean, I love this class and I love drag racing, but you know, you can only do so much with what they give you. And you know, I really don't have any desire to go fuel car racing. It's just, these guys just aren't really for me. I don't really think it's, I'm not gonna say it's not real racing, but you know, over there I can race more, and they give younger kids a better opportunity to make something out of their career if they want to be a race car driver.
We know you're excited for the transition, but have you paid attention to any of the publicity and everything that's going on with Hailie Deegan? And
you know, it was really cool for her to go out there and win that race. I think she was the first girl to win a NASCAR sanctioned race, so you know, that was really cool for her to do, I think.
I mention her because of the parallels with you both coming from a family that's done NHRA racing and then going into the track racing.
Yeah, no, I mean, she
racing.
came from off-road racing and I come from drag racing and dirt racing and whatnot. And you know, I could see the similarities there. But no, I mean, that was really cool for her to be able to do that and to make history.
Awesome. So when you look forward to the future and your transition into NASCAR, what is your biggest hope? If you could have it your way, what are you thinking within your first year or two?
I just want to be able to go out there and be competitive.
Nice.
You know, like I said, I hate losing.
Don't we all?
Yeah, there's nothing worse to me than going out somewhere and just not running good, especially when you have the people and the equipment behind you, because you feel like you let all those people down. So to me, you know, I don't expect to win right off the bat, but I'd definitely like to be able to get a few wins by the end of my first year, and you know, just be competitive in every rank that I go into.
Well, I think the cool part is that the passion that you bring and the excitement, I think that the NASCAR fans will appreciate that. I think you'll be able to blend in a little bit more there, and so it won't seem so.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, there's a few fans that have already been like tweeting to me and stuff from the NASCAR side that aren't real happy about me coming over just because of the bad rep that I get coming from this side. But
well, that's what fans do, though.
Yeah,
even
no,
fans
that's
that
what
like you.
That's what
heckle.
makes that's what makes racing so great. Is you have, well, for the fans anyways, you have the people you like and the people you don't like. So you have to have that controversy and the rivalries in the sports to make the sport great. And to me, I think that's what any train needs more of, is rivalries. You need that confrontation. You need people to be able to pick a side and say, well, I hate Tanner and I love Jason, or vice versa.
It helps the fans get more vested.
Yeah.
Because I'm extremely competitive as well, so
Right.
I get it. I hate a lot of people.
So exactly. So when you have someone that you really enjoy watching, you get more invested into the sport itself. So you want to go to races. You want to see that person. You want to make sure you're watching that person on TV when you're not at the races. A lot of people, talk bad about me on social media, and I just use it as motivation to go to the next race and prove them wrong. I don't really hate any fan. I mean, a fan that doesn't like me or a fan that likes me, I appreciate them all. We were at St. Louis this year, and I was getting ready to get in the car for one of the first qualifying runs. And I had a dude at the fence, and he was just going off on me, telling me about how bad of a kid I was and whatever. And I just walked over and tried to shake his hand and tell him I appreciated him coming out. He wouldn't shake my hand, but it's people like that, that make drag racing and any racing what it is, because you have to have different people, and you have to have the rivalries.
So when you transition over, would that affect your garage status? Will you still handle most things here for the car?
And the shop that I'm going to is like 25 minutes from here.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they're a successful K&N ARCA truck team. They've been successful in really whatever they've done. It's David Gilliland Racing. I'm really looking forward to going over there.
Nice.
I'm going to be putting really, really good equipment. I actually just got to go and watch a test yesterday. And, was supposed to get in and test and kind of elected not to at the last minute just because I'm trying to focus on the pro stock side of things, and you didn't want to take that chance of getting hurt just in case. I mean, it's far-fetched, but
better to be safe than sorry.
Exactly.
That would be
Yeah,
like the headline.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to sleep real well at night if I would have got in and got hurt and cost these guys a championship. So
just so we're clear, even if you go on to win the Pro Stock National Championship, you'll still be transitioning over to NASCAR.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
That's a brave decision to make.
It is. Yeah, it is. But I guess it's all about taking risks through life, and it's just what I want to do right now.
So thinking back, what would you say the biggest difference is between Tanner Gray, the rookie, and Tanner Gray now, 2018?
I feel like the Tanner Gray in 2017 was a lot more immature than the Tanner Gray that's sitting here today. Like we talked about earlier, I brought that raw emotion, and I think it was good, but just didn't really know how to handle it as much as I should have. I think this year I've learned to handle a little bit better. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I've learned to lose a little bit better, which is something I never thought that I'd have to do. In drag racing, it's kind of a 50-50 shot every time you go up there.
Absolutely.
So, you got to be able to learn to take the ups with the downs. And, overall, I think I'm a lot more mentally sound than I was last year.
And that just comes with age.
Yeah.
I think people forget how young you were when you started out. And
Exactly.
so that would have a lot to do with your raw emotion as well.
Yeah. So, but, I agree with what you said, but you can't use an excuse because, even though you're a kid, you're choosing to race with adults. So you gotta, go along as an adult. You can't use that excuse, yeah, well, I'm 17, so I can act different. You have to be able to play the role of a guy, and you have to mature quick. And but that's the decision I chose to make at that age. That's what I wanted to do, was be a race car driver. So that's the responsibility you have to take on. And like I said, I worried a lot about what people thought in 2017. I mean, it might not seem like it, but like I'd get on social media and read what people were saying, and it bothered me. And this year I feel like I've learned to just kind of not really be concerned with the opinion of a man, and just go on. You know, like I know who I am, I know what I'm about. You know, I got a lot of great group of guys that are behind me, and you know, I've learned to just let them do their jobs, and I do my job, and not worry about anything else. You know, trust that they've got my back. They're gonna give me a car when I go up there, and you know, just focus on my job and not stress so much.
So do you think by starting out so young, did you kind of pass up on a few things that the average teenager would have had going on, like school dances, homecoming,
I've never been
prom,
to a prom,
that kind of thing? So you did.
I never went to a prom, never went to homecoming. Only got to go to high school for like 2 years, and so I really didn't have that full teenage experience, I guess if you want to call it. You know, I never really went out and did the whole partying deal. I never, you know, hung out with a bunch of kids. I was always with an older group of guys and traveling on the road. And you know, to me, that I'm fine with that. I mean, that doesn't really affect me.
As you should be.
Yeah,
that says a lot.
Those guys have become my best friends. You know, I've been around them since I was like 10 years old. So we all have a really good relationship with each other.
And that says a lot about your dedication as well as your commitment to the actual sport. And so to sacrifice all of that and to not have a problem with it, you don't seem upset about it at all, as you shouldn't be, because you've had such a successful run.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have so many years to go. So
exactly.
At the end, it was all worth it.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. I wouldn't change anything for the world. So.
Good stuff. Well, I have to thank you again on behalf of RPMHD for letting us come and hang out and see a little bit around your garage and pick your brain and really get some cool shots around here. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Tanner Gray, we'll see how the rest of this year turns out, but we definitely know that next year we'll be looking forward to seeing you in NASCAR, getting your circle track race on.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Thanks again. Thanks for sticking around, guys. Now Tanner and Leo, his assistant and trusty sidekick, are gonna give us a bit of a behind-the-scenes tour of the garage. Is that okay with you, Leo? You good with that?
Leo, come on.
I think he's good with that. So.
This is the car shop. Anything that has to do with the cars goes down in here. Right here we just have, you know, the primary car that I run every weekend. We brought it out like the middle of last year and really just been racing it ever since. It's been good to us. So, you know, that's the primary car, and then this is our backup car that I actually started out in. I believe I won Vegas in this one. Dave was the last one to drive it, and Brainerd. We got to race each other first round, so that was cool. And this is the rig that we haul the cars in. Kind of messy right now, but yeah, I mean, you gotta have the muffins.
You got to.
Gotta have the cookie tray. You know,
that's not for Leo, though, right?
No, every once in a while. And then that's my lounge that I hang out in during the weekend. Oh, Leo. Hey. It's Dave's office up front there, which, I mean, he don't do a whole lot in here.
It's where the paperwork happens.
The little that we do, the little that he does, yeah.
Dave's doing paperwork. You're just not doing paperwork, Tanner.
Just like some storage stuff up there, nothing real big. And then come back over into this room. Leo, come on. Got a few pictures from the races that we won. Go all the way back up there.
The lovely Wall of Fame is what we've named this out here.
Yeah, just some machining stuff, some equipment they use. Now, obviously the engine shop's back there, can't go back there. But Leo, come on.
I gotta take a picture in front of one of these signs.
Okay.
My parents are the Grays.
Oh, really?
So that'd be kind of cool. Like Gray Motorsports. I was gonna be like, where are you at?
And this is all like old parts that we have. And you know, you got like your t-shirt kind of shipping area. So you box stuff up.
You found something?
Ship it out from here and then come back up here. main offices.
Pretty big in here.
And that's where Angela takes care of all the bills, so we're not getting too much trouble. And this in here will be my dad's office. And then you got Leo being Leo. But yeah, I mean, not
Is that
too
a good
much.
picture of your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to throw it? Does he want
Leo.
me to throw it?
That's all right. He'll bother you with it. Leo, come on.
He
Let's go.
wants to play with it. Don't forget your tire.
Grab your tire. Go get
There you
it.
go.
Go get your tire. Nothing too crazy. Just kind of a normal shop. Get your tire, Leo. Come on.
That's what you wanted. I ain't that strong. You would have been so disappointed in me, Leo. You did not want to play that with me.
Yeah, man, that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you so much for tuning in here at RPMHD.com, where we take you behind the scenes in racing. And let's check out a couple of shops as well. Thanks.
Because I was racing when they opened this facility, and when I think the racer, not only the fan walked in, we really felt that the sport has really taken the next step.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Tanner Gray is in line to become the youngest champion in NHRA history, but Alex Laughlin may be his most vocal rival. The two have exchanged words, teams that exchanged punches last year. And Tanner Gray with a statement 006. Oh, but he's squirrely. Did he hold on to it enough? Yes, he did. A great job by Tanner, who wins in addition via the hole shot. Amber Gray, your son just shocked us once again. A great job of driving. Started with a 006, and he probably needed every bit of that because that car got free halfway down the racetrack.
Well, check out the white car right side of your screen and look at the real estate that he actually uses up. Now, these cars, because they don't have a lot of downforce, front wheels up in the air. Watch Tanner Gray. Check out those front wheels. Doing a little bit of a wheel stand. Now, it starts when the car actually lands. It probably upset the chassis, but he was using a lot of finesse. You get too aggressive with these cars, they're going to dart across the lane and all kinds of damage can happen. But for Tanner Gray, the mellow yellow hole shot, the better reaction time advances him to the next round.